What's up, Amazon sellers? Staying ahead of your competition is one of the most important things you can do in your Amazon game. That is why we've come up with a brand new sourcing strategy using your historical data. So this is a sourcing strategy that is unique to you and your business. Stay tuned. I'm going to share with you how we've done it and step by step what you need to do to replicate it. If you don't know who I am, my name is Thomas Parkinson, and I've been selling on Amazon now for 4 years doing the online arbitrage business model. Now in the UK, I've done over 7 figures in sales in the last 12 months. Check that out. And in the USA, I've also just started selling as well. Check that out. Now, hopefully we are looking to expand maybe into another marketplace in the near future. And if you're interested to see how I did it, how I'm doing it, and what I'm learning as well, then make sure you hit that subscribe button down below. So first things first, let's give you a little bit of background. Quite simply, currently, should we say, my team are using different sourcing methods, reverse sourcing, storefront stalking, newsletter, etc., etc. And all of these sourcing methods, they're based on, should we say, their preference, as to what works best, and they're going to use a range of them and all of them at the same time, if you understand what I mean. Although considering, should we say, at times, should we say, the Amazon platform is getting more and more competitive. There's an increase in the number of sellers, and sometimes our existing techniques are just, they're being used by other sellers, and as a result, we're seeing increased competition in those products. That is why we needed to create this new strategy, which is based around us finding opportunities with the data we have created. Now, with that said, using this new strategy, we created it because we needed to improve and we needed to innovate in regards to our business to stay ahead of other Amazon sellers. Okay, so I just mentioned something in the comment below or previously, that the Amazon marketplace is getting more competitive. Now, I want to ask you the question, do you feel that that is true? Do you feel that there are more sellers on Amazon now than there ever been? Is it more competitive on those listings? Drop a yes, or if you don't, drop a no in the comments down below. I want to know what you think. Is Amazon getting more competitive? Now, this leads me nicely onto chapter number 2. What is historical data sourcing? Now, quite simply, historical data sourcing is using the data coming in from your own Amazon seller account, which Amazon saves for you, to source for deals. Now, basically what we are doing, we are looking at all the data collected that you've done previously through Amazon Seller Central, and obviously using that data to help us find deals that we've probably found in the past, and obviously we can re-find again. Now, if I give you one number that's going to really help you understand, using this sourcing method, we have managed to drive our purchases up to over 85% of reorders. So what does this mean? This means this is helping us find all those old products we've found in the past, get them reordered, buy more bulk, do them. We're not finding new deals, we're replacing old deals, and we're doing it a much bigger volume. And this has allowed us to grow our revenue massively. So it has really helped us out. Why? Because only 15% of our deals every week are brand new. 85% are historical deals using pretty much this strategy. So it's been game changing for us. Now, this leads me nicely onto chapter number 3, the pros and cons of historical data sourcing. Well, let me first of all start off by sharing the pros of using historical data sourcing. Okay, so first things first, there is going to be a high chance of the product you are sourcing for is actually going to be able to be purchased for you to resell. Now, considering that, should we say, you are going to be sourcing the top ASINs from your own data, you are likely to find items that you can sell because you've sold them already, and obviously this has been proven from your past performance. Now, the other thing which I'll add to that is because you are using last year's performance, you know a lot more insights into that data as well, i.e. sales velocity and what's going on. Now, let's say, for example, you use the data from, I don't know, last Q4. Right now we are in Q4, and if you wanted to see what was selling last Q4, well, you can use your last Q4 data and understand that to see which items are selling the most during Christmas and find out how many are selling. Now, for example, it might be that you sold a lot of Christmas lights last year, and you can see what they are. You can see that there's a high chance that those Christmas lights are going to be selling again this year. And then you could even use this methodology with other methodologies to find other products that are going to help you. But this is by using your existing data. Now, secondly, sourcing is going to be made so much simpler because you've already got a list of ASINs which are already working for your business or have worked. Now, after collecting this data and sorting out those top ASINs, figuring out the ones that you want to go source, you can immediately load those top ASINs in Amazon and do reverse sourcing to find the suppliers which are going to meet your criteria. And hey, now that you even know the further data, and we'll talk about it, you could even look at the wholesale route as well. Now, the third advantage to historical data sourcing is that you you have smaller chances of encountering issues. Why? Considering you've sold these products already, then you're going to have less chances of having dangerous goods, IP complaints. Because you've sold it before and you didn't get any issues in the past, you'll probably be fine going forward. Now, what I will say is that after, sharing with you the pros of historical data sourcing, let's have a look at the cons. First things first, it is a long process. The setup for this is quite challenging, but the rewards can be amazing. Now, getting started is always a challenge. That is why if you're not familiar with using historical data sourcing, it can be overwhelming, and it's a lot of upfront work you've got to do using Excel formulas, for example, to get the format right before you start finding products that you can reverse source. Now, the second disadvantage for you is the inevitable changes. Now, considering that the data is based on historical data, again, historical data sourcing, it's expected there are going to be changes maybe in prices, products, etc. And you might come across, ASINs which have been deleted. You might come across prices or products that were really good and now they have too much competition. You've just got to be mindful of that. So do recheck those ASINs, don't take it as a gospel. And I'll explain that later on. Now, the third and final con is that this is not really a great technique for beginners. If you are a beginner just starting on Amazon, this technique won't work. Why? Because it's called historical data sourcing. Now, this is highly data driven from your data. And if you don't have any data because you're a beginner, then obviously you can't really do this. So for us, what do we recommend? Well, don't do this strategy unless you've been sourcing your business for at least 6 months and ideally 1 year, because that is going to give you a much more accurate picture to understand what you need to do. So top tip there, if you're new, probably not the best sourcing method. Carry on with the other ones. Number 4, how to actually use historical data sourcing. So what I'm going to do now is jump on the computer and we're going to go through how to do this. Now, I'll divide it into 3 parts. First part is downloading and getting the data. The second part is going to be fixing the data, formatting it. And the third part is going to be the sourcing and how you go actually and find the product. So we'll break it into 3 parts, so talk it through now and obviously help you out. So let's jump on the computer, let's make this happen. Okay, so here we are now into Seller Central, and what I'm going to be doing is just coming, I'm going to be getting the actual data. So we want to come up to the top here, click on this at the top here, and this is kind of the action. And we'll go down to reports, and we're going to go to business reports. Let's load up that. Now, this is your back of house business reports. Now, what we're going to do is left-hand side down the bottom, detail page sales and traffic by child. It's got to be child. Now let's check the date. Now say for example, right now we want to do Q4 sourcing. Let's go get Q4 last year. So let's get, October the 1st, and then let's go right through to, so October the 1st there. Yep, got that. And then let's go right through to end of December last year as well. Again, we want that whole Q4 period, getting that. So just got to wait for this data to load now. So it takes a little while. So let's go through, come back, go all the way through, back to December. There we go, and 31st. Cool. So now we put the dates in for Q4. Let's select them all and then click download CSV. So we're just going to download those products. Now what it's going to do is create a CSV file, and that's how we can get the report. So voila, here you can see it's now just been downloaded, and that is the data coming from Amazon's Seller Central about that product or about these products. Nice and simple. So that's first of all getting the data. Now let's go through and have a look at how we format the data to get it into an actionable method. And there's some formula we have to use to extract what we're really looking for, and some filtering as well. So jump back to the computer. Now I've just kind of quickly formatted it into like some black lines. So don't worry, it's exactly the same data. Now, first things first, what we're really going to want to be doing is putting a filter into the top line so that we can filter this data and sort it how we need to. So let's go through, and first things, let's go over to row 1, and let's highlight that whole row and just make sure that we get that kind of selected so we can put that filter in. So here we go to row 1, got that data, and then let's go to filter. And then what we want to do once we've got that filter now, nice and simple. Now what we want to do is come across, and we want to put in an extra column. So right here, what we're going to do is put in here total listing revenue. Now this is going to be an estimation of what we think the listing revenue is. So we're going to do a formula which equals, and we're going to take the product ordered sales and we're going to divide it by the buy box. We're going to say if we thought we made £9,000 worth of sales and only had 16% of the buy box, what would the listing make if it was total? So you can see there. Now let's drop that down and let's filter it now, remove any zeros. And then also what we want to do is we want to sort that by the largest to smallest. Again, we want the listings with the most sales potential. Again, we're trying to drive top selling items here. Now, the next thing we want to do is come over to units orders, and we need to remove any list or product whereby we've got less than 5 sales. And the reason is we're taking estimations off our buy box and our sales, and anything below about 5 sales a month just isn't statistically high enough. It could be a very erroneous data or very dangerous to use it. So we kind of use only think when we sold more than 5 items. Now let's come over here. We're doing estimated listing sales. So what we're going to do is take the number of units ordered from ours and then divide that again by the buy box percentage to try and get an estimation of what the listing is actually doing during that period. And again, it's over that time period. So this is 3 months. And again, drag that down. Now what we're looking to do is just format this in no decimal places. Let's remove those decimal points. There you go, fantastic. So you can see there, the top one we're estimating that's got a really high listing sales. Now, quite simply, let's just do one final one, which we're going to go onto here, and we're going to say, let's do cumulative stock, which we say cumulative stocks. Now, what we're going to be doing here is looking at what the current stock is within that listing. So what we're trying to do is find out where there's too much stock, let's not bother them, but where there's an undersupply of stock, that is a potential opportunity. So let's take each ASIN and let's go look at it onto Amazon. And we've got 2 tools we're using, so FBA multi-tool and also SAS on the right-hand side. And SAS is really good for this tip actually. So we find this really useful because it does this calculation for you automatically. So we'll just wait for this to load. And then once it's loaded, we're gonna go to SAS, scroll down. And what we're doing is we've got here, see all the sellers and it says the stocks. We're going to hover over the last one, and you can see that it says cumulative 213. So what it's doing is adding up all the stocks of all those sellers. So we're not interested in around the buy box, we're just around the top 10 sellers, how much stock have they got in total. Again, we're trying to see the listing stocks. So let's put that in. We're going to go through and dump in that 213. Now you want to repeat that, and we'll do it in batches. So we'll do the next 50. So let's just do the next 50, drop them in now. There you go, done that. So again, the setup, there's quite a lot of work that you need to do. Now the final bit that you want to do here is work out which stocks have less than 75% of their capacity, i.e. like in stock right now. So stock fulfilled, again, let's do this, equals cumulative stocks. So we're going to click on that, and then we're going to divide that by listing estimations. So we're working out how much stock is in that. So let's drag that down. There we go, fill that out. And then what we're going to do is just convert that into a percentage. So we want to see what percentage of the stock is fulfilled. So you can see like right here, based on the calculation, the top one is saying like 1% of the listing sales currently has stock. So it's likely that it could run out. Now what we want to do is to filter that stock fulfilled for anything which is over 75%. And the reason is if there's more than 75% of that listing sales, what we are going to say is there's too much stock on the listing, we wouldn't want to get involved. So let's remove that. And then just we want to see the ones where maybe they're undersupplied. You know, people are likely to sell out because the sales velocity. So voila. Now we've done that for the top 50, filtered out the results, really, really good. And then what we're going to do now is quite simply, we're going to take those ASINs with the results and we're going to go through and reverse source them. So let's jump on now and let's go through a reverse sourcing of that exact process to find out what you do for the final stage of this process. So let's go into it now. Here we go, this is the product, but what we've done is say here, we can see this is the product we loaded up in Amazon. Obviously we did the check beforehand. Now, the one thing which I will say is just do a double check again. Check that it is still eligible to sell, check that it's not dangerous goods, you know, there's no Amazon on the listing, or if that's a concern of yours. Here it's saying sales estimation 6 to 7. You know, on the right hand side, you can see SAS is saying 130. I'd look at the keeper chart to confirm. You can kind of get a feel. Now, £14.12, that's the price there it's currently selling for. And for us, what we can just see is what's going on. So we're looking here, there are lots of new sellers joining that. So we would just be mindful of that. There's lots of sellers, but definitely selling. I can see that with that sales chart. So we've got the product, we know we can still sell it. Let's go now have a look, see if we can find it. So here's one we kind of found earlier. We've got this product here. It looks pretty much the same. Now the other thing here, you can see it's saying, got the product's got £8, so £8 of this product. And what we'll do is we'll take that £8 and put that back into our calculator and see if it's going to be profitable for us. I think it was about £14.12 that we could sell this for. So close, we'll have to see. Let's come back to FBA calculator. Let's type in the £8 that we've got and let's do calculate. And what's it going to come back out at? There you go. That is going to be a loss of 3 pence. But what I will say is it's very close. So you might be able to find a voucher code, you might be able to find something else, but this is just the first look that we found for a product where you can do reverse sourcing and actually start looking for those products. Perhaps maybe you can even find a wholesaler and get that on bulk because you know it's really selling. But that is the process of getting your data from Amazon, formatting it, filtering out everything that you don't want, and only finding the products you do want where there's opportunity on the listings. And then finally, what you are doing is you are going to be looking for those products using that reverse sourcing technique. Okay, so I'm just talking about a great new sourcing methodology that we're using, historical data sourcing. Now, the one thing which you'll probably pick up on is that perhaps maybe you're a new seller and you don't have enough sales data, or maybe when you're looking, you're not finding anything. Well, that means that this sourcing technique isn't going to really help you out. And if you are still struggling for leads, still struggling to grow your business, and what I would say is check out FastTrackFBA Leads. This is a service I created whereby we have a team of sourcers in the USA and a different team in the UK sourcing for deals 7 days a week. And as a result, they put them all onto our web platform. And what are they doing? They're helping you find deals that you can buy and resell on Amazon for a profit. If you are interested and want to know more, have a look at the link down below, FastTrackFBA Leads. Trust me, I think you're going to love it. And what it's going to do is just help you find more deals that you can obviously get selling and then use for historical data sourcing going forward. Right, that leads me nicely on to chapter number 5, top tips for you. After understanding historical data sourcing and the process to go through it, what I will say, my first top tip for you is that the setup for this is a long process, and you've got to follow that format correctly, because if you don't, you are going to get it wrong, and obviously you're going to find products which aren't working, that you're going to get bad data, and as a result, it's going to cost you time, money, and you do not want to do that. So get it right, take your time, set it up correctly. Now, the second goal for you is to, setting goals. Now, why is this important? Because it does take a long time, and all the ACEs provided by the data, it takes time to do it. So do set a goal like sourcing the ASINs of the month between January and March. Or for example, we did Q4 in that period, October to December. You've got to just define what you're actually looking for. Or maybe just the top 20 selling ASINs in Q1. You're probably gonna have so much data that you could be here forever doing this method. You've got to be very clear about what you're trying to take out of it and obviously selecting what data you want to go for. Now, the third top tip I'd recommend for you is save products that have been sourced. So let me tell you this. The data you're going to get from Amazon Seller Central is going to be overwhelming, especially if you've been selling on Amazon for a long period of time. So what I will say is to save confusion, repetition in sourcing the same product, it's going to cost you time and money. You've already sourced these products, so you already know the URLs, you know the products, you know the suppliers. Go back and match that with the ASINs. Go back to your buy sheet. So if you are doing this, do match it with your buy sheet, and it's going to really help you speed up and save you from repeating the same process over and over again. Now, the fourth and final top tip is to allocate 1 hour per day towards this. Why? Well, you've seen that using the sourcing method is also a bit of trial and error because you are using historical data, and it's not always great, but also because when you do find products which work, they are going to be great products. Why? Because you know the data, and that data is going to help you make much better buying decisions. So by allocating an hour a day, you're going to hit gold every now and then, and as a result, but the gold is going to be really big gold. So do keep that in mind. So if you've got, should we say, an hour and you can get through maybe like 30 to 50 ASINs, fantastic. That's going to help you out. And then obviously you can do your storefront stalking thereafter. Now, what I will say is that after understanding historical data sourcing, you might want to consider watching a playlist we created called Sourcing 101. And I'll drop that around here. And it's a series of videos that are going to show you different sourcing techniques that's going to help you out. But what I will say is hopefully you've liked this video. If you have, give me a big thumbs up. And hey, if you want to see more about this, hit that subscribe button down below and you'll be notified every time I release a video. But from myself, Thomas Parkinson and FastTrackFBA, thank you very much.